Hi everyone, this is Jann, and I'm going to start a little painting here. And we have stenciled on our backdrop here on a already pre-painted canvas here. You can buy these painted in black at Michael's. I get mine on Michael's or Amazon. And I used a stencil. I think this one is called a cherry blossom stencil, and I used that with some golden treasures. Let's see if I have it here. Treasure gold. Okay, I used that color for doing the stencil, and I also used certain brushes here that will give you a nice stencil so that it doesn't bleed underneath. So I did the stencil in the gold, and I went ahead and drew a circle for my hydrangea, and I'm planning on putting a yellow rose over here. So I'm going to do the hydrangea first, and we're going to be using purples and blues. And then I'm going to use the opposite color from the color wheel, which is a complementary color of yellow in here. And then I'll have other blooms and leaves and things like that in there. So the first thing I did was I wet this 1-inch flat synthetic brush. And I'm going to go in here. I am using Jensen Art Heritage colors in my palette here. I have all of his colors in here on this palette here, and I also have an open medium, which is this right here, Matisse open medium, and this will let your paint stay open for about 30 minutes. So I probably here in California, because we're in the hundreds right now here in California, so it is summertime. So I wanted an extender or a medium that would stay open for a long time. Now I do use this also, extender medium. This is a thinner formula, but in the summertime I would rather use one that is a little thicker and it will stay wet longer. I like to paint wet on wet, okay? So it would give me the same feeling as using oils. I want everything that I do wet as I'm doing it. And then I can go ahead and use a hairdryer and I can go ahead and dry it. So let's go ahead. I want deep purple. I'm going to get dioxine purple, and I'm going to dip a little bit in this open medium, and I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to mix this open medium into the purple as I'm painting. I'm not going to mix it in right here in the palette here. I'm just going to mix it as I'm working it. The next color, I'm going to let me pick up a little paper towel here, and I'm going to wipe the color off. Don't go in any water until we're finished with doing this if you want to. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the blue. That'll be the medium color, and then I have the open medium on the other side. So we're gonna mix in some of this blue, and I'm just gonna overlap it here. Okay, like that. Now the other color, I'm gonna mix a lighter blue up there, or I could mix a little, that's the dioxine. Let's add a little bit. I'd rather have it like a lavender, so I'm going to take a little bit of open medium, and let's do a little bit of white and a little bit of the purple. So we get like a lavender color. There we go. And I'm just going like this, okay, with the brush. Just wiggling. See, this is what I'm doing. Every time I lay the stroke down, it's just creating a different shape every time I put it down. Now wipe your brush off. Now I'm just going to intermingle these colors, this into that and that into this. Okay, I don't want any harsh lines. I just want color change. Okay, that's what I want. Because I'm going to pick up a filbert brush here after I get this intermixed. Okay, now I'm going to set this brush down aside over here. Okay, I'm going to set it down in my water deal. And then I'm picking up like a number 8 filbert. And I'm just going to pick up a little white here, but I don't want my white. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the open extender here. Okay, with a little white. And let's just go ahead and come up here and add some petals. Okay, want a little more. Now if you need the other extender for the petals, I'm going to go to the other open extender because it will blend a little easier than this open one. And I don't have any paint, I'm just blending. I'm just using extender on my brush here. And touch, I'm doing like a 4-petal flower on here. That's all I'm doing. Intermixing, I want those edges to be ragged. You don't want them to be rounded at all. You don't want it to look like a cotton ball, okay? I may have to pick up a little bit of some of this lavender. A dioxine purple, I think is what it is. Add a little of that in there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of the white, but I want it toned down. We want a little bit of highlight on some of these because the light is on the top here, so I'm picking up a little white, and I want some of these petals to be brighter. Okay, where the light source is. So we're going to make this side our light source, like that. Okay, and as I drag it over here, it's not as light, and I don't want it as light. Okay, wipe my brush off where I want a brighter light source. Then I will go ahead and come back over here. So my light source is right on top there. Your brush gets full of paint, come back. Okay, I'm going to leave this because I want it to set up just a little bit. Okay, as long as I have my light source here. Here's my secondary color right here. I get to come in and I can make this just a little lighter in areas. Okay, this is your blue. So let's pick up a little blue down here. Ooh, pretty. Yeah, let's get a little bit of that phthalo blue. That's a beautiful color. Yeah, so let's in a little of this phthalo while we have it down here. Gorgeous color. Now where it's really, really dark, okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to go into dioxine purple. Yep, and we're going to put some of these deep, deep petals down here. Right down here on the bottom, okay? Alright, so we have our deepest colors down here. Okay, and we've got some of that beautiful blue, that phthalo blue. Let's put a little of that phthalo blue over here again. You can just sit and play with this. I love just playing with these colors. Let's bring that out a little bit. Oops, I don't want that one. I want the thinner one. Okay. So we have our light, our medium source, which is our phthalo color. Phthalo's pretty. I'd like to get some more of that in there. There we go. Before I finish with this. And then we have our deep, deep purples. Okay, so I'm going to leave this. Now go ahead and wipe your brush off. When you're finished with your brush, go ahead and clean it in your water, okay? And that's what you're going to do on that. Now when you want your little centers on here, what you'll want to do is pick up your little kiss tool. And I never know where mine is. It's hard to see the kiss tool. So I'm just going to grab a little dabber brush here. A little dabber brush here. And when you come back with your yellow, I'm going to pick up some yellow ochre and white. And you would just come in and put dots on a few of these. Like that. The ones that look like they're a full flower, that's what you're going to put the dots on. I'm picking up a little bit more yellow ochre. See down here, you could use the yellow ochre. This is the shadow side, so it's really not going to be as bright as up here, okay? So up here, you wipe that off, I could actually go with a light yellow up here where it's real bright, okay? Go with a different color. Go with a light yellow, yellow and white, if you want to. And then that way you have a variance of color depending on where the little bloom is. These would be kind of faded, so I could even tap them down a little bit, or they could just be kind of like yellow ochre. Okay, these will be lighter. You're not going to see them very much. Okay, and then keep those a little more vibrant. Okay, these are just kind of faded here. Okay, everyone, that's really all you need to do for your hydrangea here. Now this will stay wet probably about 15-20 minutes more, so I will go back in and I will re-highlight some of those. If in about 10 minutes they seem to kind of lose their luster or whatever, and then we can go ahead and start this rose next. Okay, that's your hydrangea. Okay, have fun. Okay, we're back, and I'm going to start on this rose. And I watched one of David's videos on doing a yellow rose, and we're going to be doing yellow. And I took photos of each step that he did. So the first step that he does is he establishes the darks in the center here and under the bowl here. Okay, I need to cut that bowl a little bit. Cut it down a little bit. So that's what we're going to do, and he used some of the burnt sienna. Now you can see here I added another hydrangea in here, looked kind of bare, not having another hydrangea, and all I did was use more of a blue color, the phthalo blue, as opposed to more of the violet. This one's more violet, that one's more blue. And I'm also going to use, on the first part of this, when I'm blocking in, I'm going to use this extender here. This one it's a watery extender. It's not real thick like the white medium that's in here. We'll use this once we start distinguishing the petals on top of our base coat, okay? But I want to keep the base coat loose, and I want to use this extender medium with it so that it stays wet. So I'm going to go ahead and dip into the medium right here, and I'm just going to use my palette here, and I'm just going to take my brush and work it into my brush here. And then I'm going to pick up, I'm just going to blot a little bit, and I'm going to go into the sienna. And I'm going to start up here, and we're going to use kind of a round stroke. And what he does, he keeps going out and uses this round stroke like this. And as he comes out, he doesn't use as much pressure as he does right smack in the center there. Now I would use a little bit of dioxine purple right here so that we have a center that is a little deeper in color. We need to distinguish. I'm going to wipe this on a paper towel, and I'm going to come back out and soften this out. But I want it really the darkest part to be right here in the center. Okay, and I might have to deepen that a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and add our dark colors right around the bowl. And I'm going to bring this bowl up a little bit. I'm going to shorten it here so that we can add have a shorter bowl. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the burnt sienna. Okay, like that. And what he shows is he softens this out with his finger. Okay, so let's take our finger. I didn't know if I would have enough medium on this to get it to slide around, because his background, he does have his medium on his background. So what I would like to do is soften this out here. I'm going to put some medium on this so that I can soften this out up here too. And it's hard to see that it's softened because I'm on a black background, okay? Wipe my finger off. You can see. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to reestablish some of this center here. Okay, wipe the brush off. Then I'm going to rotate this around the center part here, like that. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of the purple, and I am just going to establish some of this right under here. Just lightly touch it. Okay, like that, because we have that stencil underneath it. Okay, now there is our darks. And the next thing we want to do, I'm going to wipe my brush off. Just going to pinch wipe it. And we want to go ahead and add some yellow ochre all around that. Going to dip in the medium. We're going to come over here. And we're going to add some yellow ochre like this with some medium. And again, I'm just going to feather this out. Maybe if I go in a circle, it'll feather it out more. And this is in the front here, in the bowl. I just want to soften this right here in the bowl, like that. I'm going to take all that out. And I want to soften some of this color out here where these petals are going to be. What he likes to do is he'll paint the color on, and then on the back part of the color he'll feather it out into the other color. So if I'm doing a petal over here, he'll put in like a petal shape similar, and then leave this edge right here, the outside edge, but then he'll come in and he'll soften the back edge, okay, like that. Let me move this over here, it'd be easier. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm picking up medium each time because I'm just gonna kind of sketch in a little petal here. I'm softening this back edge here, not this edge here, with my finger here. You could use a mop brush if you wanted to, but it's just as easy. You got your finger right here. Okay, wipe your finger there, and if I want to take and soften, these are going to be petals out here to soften that edge there. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're putting in a base color. We're blocking in this whole rose with color, and that way we know which way we're going to go with this. Now see, here's the bowl. As long as you can see the bowl of the rose, you're okay. You know where you're going here. See, and then as I add color on top here, see, I can soften that little color here. You kind of get the shape of that rose. Just make sure that the bowl of the rose, you don't lose that shape, okay? Don't lose this shape here, the bowl, as it comes in. Keep that one, okay? Now I'm just going to soften the edges there. Alright, so as long as you kind of have an idea of where you're going to go, I could pick up a little yellow with this. Now see, as you pick up just a little bit more of color, it's going to stick to that. Like that. Okay. Maybe a little deeper color right here. I seem to blend it quite a bit with my fingers, so I lose my color a lot. But right now, I just want this to be fuzzy out here. Okay, want that to be fuzzy. The center is real deep. And we have our other color up here. Okay, now that's tacking up on me. I can feel it when I have my brush. And we have the bowl shape. Now he has this more pronounced right here. This yellow is more pronounced in here than what I have. Now what if I take a little mini mop brush? Let me see here. Let me take one. There's a little small mini mop right here. Now if I take the mini mop, that softens it too. That will soften it really, really nice. The only thing is, once you get your paint on your brush, it's better if you have a wet or damp paper towel to get that color off before it dries on there. So just take part of a paper towel like this that's dipped in a little water, so that when you finish blending that stroke, you can just take your brush and you can go back and forth on that paper towel and get that little bit of paint off, and then you can come back and just fluff it up, and you can keep using your little brush here if you don't want to dip your finger in it. I tend to push too hard if I dip my finger, to where if I just use a brush, then I do a little better. It keeps the edge on a lot nicer, the soft edge, if I use a brush to blend rather than my finger. Now I'm just cleaning that little bit of paint off. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and do that much on your rose, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next, okay? Okay, so now we're back, and I have went ahead and pretty much completed the rose here. Now if you want to do the rose, I'm not going to show how to do this rose. What I would rather you do is go on David Jansen, Jansen, his YouTube channel, and he has all kinds of roses on there. I just chose a video that had a yellow rose on it, and watch how he does his roses and uses the extenders and brushes and everything on his technique, and go ahead and do a rose on here. Now if for some reason you can't do something similar like what he does, just put in a rose that you know how to do. If you know a one-stroke rose, do a one-stroke. If you know fluffy roses, do fluffy roses. Do whatever kind of rose that you want to put in here, okay? And then just go ahead and do your 2 hydrangeas here. And those, you can do them with a filbert brush. That's what I used on these here. Or you can do the little flip-flop technique in one stroke that you see Donna do a lot in her videos. Now what I'm doing now is I'm adding some greenery in here, and I have a color similar to a thicket. His paints are like a pine green, and this is a phthalo green, and I just picked up a little of the pine green or thicket and a little bit of burnt sienna on the back end. Burnt sienna and thicket. Maybe a dab of black will make a sap green. Okay, and you can add a little blue with that if you want to. And you'll come up with a really dark sap green here. And then the other color is phthalo green, and then a dab of white with it, so that we have a lighter green on the other side. And what I'm doing here, I'm looking at the stencil on what I have here, and on these little parts here, I'm just adding little leaves. Okay, these are just the little a stroke leaf here, so I have some down here. And what I would do is take the chisel and I make them a little bigger so that you can see them, and I might even add more than a couple in there. Okay, and then I use the thin extender. I'll make sure I have my brush right, and I have a little vein coming off here. Okay, like right here. So I could just go ahead and put the little vein in, and I could just go ahead and add some leaves, some little tiny leaves down here. Okay, reload your brush. If you have floating medium, you could use a little floating medium with that. Okay, here's another little leaf I can put in here. Here's another. And just trail it right off. I'm not doing anything, not doing any ruffle type leaves. I'm just doing your basic stroke leaf. And let's do another one here. Okay, and then down here we have another one down here. And so on. Okay, and as we go over here, we have another one right here, and we can come back, and I'm going to leave that flower in there. There's a little area here, just need some more paint here. There you go. Let's get a little more medium so it's nice and slick for us. I'm just going around and doing these little strokes here. And this will just add a little more color to what we have here. Make a bigger leaf right here. And it's just fun to keep everything simple. Alright, here's some leaves on here. And you don't have to spend a lot of time doing real fancy leaves on here. Let's bring this down so that it looks like it comes off of here. Oops, here's another leaf right here. And you could fill in your little stems if you want to. Okay. Here's another one right here. Okay, and you can just do as many little leaves as you want. Now I think I had this turned this way. And see how cute that looks with your gold. And it just sort of accents it. And I could come back in here and I could do some bigger leaves here, just picking up a little float. And where I have maybe a bigger area here, let's do an up and back leaf, up, back, spread that out so that you have a bigger leaf there. I'm going to pick up a little more white and a little more phthalo so that I get a little more blue-green. Okay. And I could add another one. I could add another one right down here. Up. Back. When I come back, I flatten the brush down as I come back. And just pick and choose little areas. Maybe I want one to come up out here. Okay. One there. I might want one down here. This looks a little bare down here. And flatten that brush out. Pick up a little phthalo. And I want to leave the gold in here. I don't want to cover up all this gold. So after this dries, see if some of these might dry really dull. So you might have to come back and apply another coat on it because we are on a black canvas, okay? So I'm looking at this overall. Some of these, of course, I want a little brighter, so I'm just going over a few of them so that they can be brighter. And a lot of times you have to do that when you're working on a black canvas. Okay. I think I am pretty much done with that. I'm going to leave that. I thought about putting a leaf in here to break this up right here. I could do a little tiny set of leaves coming out here, I guess. Real tiny. I don't want to like that. That way it breaks up that center part right there. And let's do one more little leaf up here. Right here. Let's do another leaf right here. Let's have this one going this way up and this way back. Okay? And you can put in your little stem. Now I could let these dry and go ahead and put in my stems at that point. And I might add a few more larger ones. I'll just kind of let these dry and see if I need to punch them up a little more on the color because it is on a black canvas here. But I don't want to cover up all my gold on there. I like that gold on there. Okay, and that's the end of the leaves. I wouldn't do very much. I would just kind of leave it like this because right now the rose is what stands out. And the pretty colors that are in this. So I wouldn't do a whole lot of other stuff with it because it's just going to take away from the gold and stuff like that. Okay, I hope you had a lot of fun doing this. And I want you to try using stencils. There's plenty of stencils on Amazon. You just type in 12 by 12 stencils. I think the GSS stencils are all 12 by 12 stencils, and they have some wonderful leaf patterns and floral patterns that you can get, and they're like $12 for 12 by 12s. Some of them come in 12 by 16s. So check that out on Amazon, and right now we're on Prime Days, so you can get a little bit of a discount on that. Okay, thank you so much. I will have a link to my eBay store where you can purchase little paintings. This little painting will be up in my eBay for sale. And there's a lot of stuff on there. I do a lot of sewing and things like that, decor for your home. So check it out. Okay, thank you so much. Make sure you push the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye for now.